The Fredericksburg housing market is definitely cooling off, though there are 5 communities in this region that are up for a move that the market hasn't even caught on to yet. So today, I'm walking you through the Fredericksburg suburbs I'd be watching if I wanted to get in before that actually changes. The first is Fawn Lake, which is in Spotsylvania County. This is the high-end destination. And once you clear the gates driving in, the road opens up in front of you. Wide, tree-lined, and then somewhere through those kind of first curves, the lake just comes into view. It's a large private lake, not just a decorative pond, okay? Like you can actually run motorboats on this lake. It has a marina, it has sandy beach area, it has kayaks, it has paddle boards right on the surface. That first moment at Fawn Lake is one buyers remember. Now, I'll be upfront with you before we go any further. Fawn Lake has a reputation. It's known as the high-end address. It's the gated community where the high-end, maybe the higher net worth buyers tend to land. Because the HOA fees, they're steep. The country club membership is a separate cost on top of that. And when you add that all together, the total commitment here, it is significant. So you're probably asking me, or at least you should, why are we talking about a premium gated community on my must get in early list? Well, the fundamentals at Fawn Lake are stacking up in a way that honestly we haven't seen before. The window for getting in at the lower end where this community is actually headed, it's still open. Now beyond the lake there is also Arnold Palmer designed golf course. Gorgeous golf course. There's dining at the country club, tennis, pickleball, there's walking and biking trails all throughout the neighborhood, dog parks, and a full fitness center. Even on top of that, this community has been named one of America's 100 best places to live 5 consecutive years running. That shows sustained quality, right? Has been earned year after year. The kind of national recognition that puts a community on a radar of buyers who have actually choices. Guys, that shows the opportunity that this neighborhood has. Now, the character of this neighborhood is also important because Fawn Lake has been around for a couple decades, with much of it being built out originally with individual custom builders rather than kind of the big production companies. Every street looks different from the last. They have mature landscaping. The lots range from small parcels to big full acre parcels. It's a neighborhood with real personality, and that's harder to find in a suburban market than you think. Now, I did say this was a higher end neighborhood, right? But newer construction from Atlantic builders has actually brought an entry point down a little bit. Now, the range for those newer builds, they run roughly upper 600s into the low mid 900s. Of course, there being custom lots on the water, larger lots at a much higher price point. Now, as you know, I'm always going to give you the honest full picture. So I'll tell you right now, again, the HOA fees that are layered on top of the purchase price and the country club membership on its own separate commitment, even with the lower prices, this is not an entry-level play. So really the question is, who is this neighborhood for then? Well, buyers who want the resort lifestyle that they kind of enjoy every day. That's who wants to be in here. There's real seclusion, there's real amenities set up. It's a neighborhood that is full of events, community life that happens every single day. And I'd say you'll find most retirees in here and mid-career families. That's typically who is living inside of Fawn Lake. But you find families who want pride of ownership in a great neighborhood. They love that address without the maintenance, right? That maintenance burden of sometimes being out in the country. That's why they love Fawn Lake. Now, if that is not your thing, wait until we get to downtown Fredericksburg. The national recognition it just earned changes how buyers look at the entire region. But let me cover why I think you should get in Fawn Lake early first. So Atlantic Builders is still active in the community, which means there's still a window. But when those available lots are gone, that's it. And there will be really not a whole lot more space available for new construction. The lakefront and the large lot properties, they don't come back once they've sold because regional wealth migration from DC, it just comes south. And the ceiling on what Fawn Lake becomes is still a question mark. But Fawn Lake is the premium play. But for buyers who want a different kind of push, something that they can get into now, the next one on this list plays out completely different, and it's called Embry Mill. Embry Mill is in North Stafford, and this is a place that just has something for everyone. Now, when you walk into Embry Mill's town center on a Saturday morning, and it is alive, okay? There's coffee shops that are running, there's restaurants filling up, people walking in from the neighborhood. And then there's Publix, which is a full grocery store that's open at the moment. This is the thing that a master planned area, well, they either get it right or they don't. And I have to say, Embry Mill got it right. This is a community right off of I-95, which is North Stafford area, roughly 40 miles south of Washington, D.C. And the product mix kind of covers a wide range of buyers in this community. You have a 55 plus section, which is called the Cascades. And that just brings a buyer really in that season of life with an entry price that's not bad, from mid 400s. Now for everyone else, the range runs from, I would say, townhouses to larger single family homes. Okay. And those will go anywhere upper 600s to, really even low 900s, but there's a lot of opportunity. Now the lots tend to run about 1/4 of an acre. So it's not, an acreage community, but the layout gives most homes a real yard and kind of a sense of space. Embry Mill earns its spot on this list because of the commercial build out around it. It's still actively progressing. And the communities like this, that tends to be one of the most reliable indicators of what comes next for home values. Turning Point Restaurants, which is an award-winning breakfast and brunch group. I don't know if you've ever been there. They confirmed its opening at Embry Mill Town Center. There's a major mixed-use development that's called Foundation Park. It's coming just outside of the community. It's bringing offices, shops, restaurants, and even more residential. So that kind of full live, work, eat setup, that tends to push surrounding property values up. And Buc-ee's. All right, Buc-ee's, a major travel center, which is going to be right off of I-95 exit on Embry Mill's doorstep. Yes, the planning board just approved this in May. The approval is confirmed, but construction has not broken ground yet. But along that high traffic stretch of I-95, that kind of commercial gravity compounds over time. And the direction is super clear. Now let's get to maybe know the commute a little bit here, okay? Because it's important to know what's going on. Getting to DC by car runs roughly 45 minutes to an hour, okay? Depending on conditions. Now with the VRE accessibility nearby, that's a real alternative. Now if you wanna go to Quantico, that drives about 25 to 35 minutes. That's why Embry Mill consistently attracts military families and federal workers. It's kind of the sweet spot between DC, adjacent pricing, and a kind of commute that's manageable. The other thing though is the data center build out in this area, it's headed straight for Stafford County. So that wave of well-paid tech employment needs, well, they need somewhere to live, okay? And that range of I-95, Embry Mill is positioned directly in that demand path. So this is the top choice, I find, for early career families who want quality infrastructure and real community. And it's just as great for military and federal buyers who need the Quantico access, but also young professionals that are ready to buy into kind of just a well-designed neighborhood before the commercial build out finishes. That's going to allow you to potentially get a great deal around here right now. This neighborhood is the definition of get in while it's still becoming what it's going to be. And that kind of play works differently when the buyer profile shifts, which brings us to a community that serves a segment most people underestimate. But before that, if you're thinking about a move to the Fredericksburg area, my team and I know every one of these neighborhoods on the inside, okay? We can show you the real pictures of what's available right now, so please just reach out if we can serve you in any way. Okay, but let's keep going. The third is Virginia Heritage at Lee's Park. Nestled in the middle of Spotsylvania, this is the award-winning 55-plus community. Something most 55-plus buyers discover sometimes too late is that the community that markets itself kind of as this resort lifestyle, the one with the beautiful clubhouse photos in the brochure, often still asks you to share a wall with your neighbor. Now, Virginia Heritage at Lee's Park, it doesn't. Every single home here is a standalone single-family home. Your yard, your driveway, your front door. And most 55-plus communities fall into one of these two categories, I find. The first one is attached condos or villas, where you own the unit share the building, you do get amenities, okay? So I'm not saying this is bad. You get amenities, but you do give up the feeling of maybe a real single-family home. Now, the second is the larger campus-style neighborhoods where there is amenities, those are solid, but the housing itself is compressed, smaller footprints, less space, a sense of trading down at times. And Virginia Heritage is neither of those. That distinction is rare in this segment, and most people even realize when they start looking in the 55+ communities. In practice, the campus sits on a large gated property. The clubhouse is absolutely the social engine. There's an indoor and outdoor pool. There's a full fitness center with cardio and strength equipment. There's a aerobic studio. There's a woodworking shop, arts and crafts studio. The programming here is heavy, offering real things like line dancing, Tai Chi. They have organized day trips. They have committees for everything. Really just all that good stuff. I've been through community after community in this market. I can tell you that the activity density here is different. The clubhouse is actually in use. The social calendar, it's real, and the people build their whole community life around it. Now, construction, that wrapped up in the early 2020s. So this community feels relatively newer without being brand new, which means the landscaping is mature. The social setup is already fully built. And the Spotsylvania Regional Medical Center, which is a full acute care hospital, is about 5 minutes away. And in the surrounding Lees Park community, it has restaurants, shopping super close by, and downtown Fredericksburg, and even the VRE is really a very easy drive. Now, pricing runs roughly from the probably low 400s to mid 600s. Now, with the larger, more upgraded homes, they definitely can go a bit higher. These are real homes with first floor master suites, so you're not climbing stairs to your bedroom. Huge quality of life, especially for retirees in this area. And because construction is complete, the community is just sold out. Like, you're buying resale, which means prices are established and the value is absolutely proven. Now, speaking of value, the gap in our final neighborhood is the widest of anything I've covered in this region, right? But let's finish Virginia Heritage at Lees Park here first. The wave of buyers driving demand for the premium 55+ communities is still building momentum. Supply at Virginia Heritage is fixed, but demand is absolutely not. And so communities that deliver what this one delivers, they don't stay accessible forever. So it's clear that active retirees, the ones who want a social environment and the permanence of owning a real home of their own, they're perfect for this area. Now let's move on to one of the most bustling areas in this list, and that is historic downtown Fredericksburg, which we call the city. Now, this has culture. Its walkability is amazing. Walk downtown Caroline Street on a random morning and something happens to your pace. The brick slows you down, the store fronts are all different from each other, and you start looking in windows, and then it registers. There's not a single chain store anywhere on the street. They're all local places. And just a couple of months ago, Caroline Street was actually named the best main street in the South by Garden and Gun magazine. This is a street designed with community in mind, with independent restaurants and boutique shops. There's a farmer's market packed with locals. There's a historic streetscape that exists because it was protected over decades. The buildings on Caroline Street date back to the 18th and 19th century. Okay, so there's been real preservation. It's actually written into the ordinances to keep this preserved. Sammy T's is a corner pub operating out of a building from the early 1800s. It sits next to Riverby Books, which is a used and kind of rare bookstore. Cork and Table, Agora Coffee. There's the First Friday events, regular farmers market. In the summer, there's Restaurant Week, which comes up in late July and early August. This is a town where people love to gather. Now let's talk about pricing for this unmatched lifestyle though. Condo options have grown in recent years and made downtown a little bit more accessible, running kind of in that roughly mid 500s. Now, a real single family home in the historic district starts closer to the mid 600s and well past the millions for the larger historic properties. Now, the houses, they're wonderful and the prices sometimes reflect that. Now, on top of all of that good stuff, the VRE station is walkable from the heart of downtown. It was recently renovated in 2024, which really, it brought platforms, so the accessibility and really just the usability of that train station is amazing. And from that station, you're roughly 25 minutes to Quantico, with service running through Alexandria and into DC Union Station. So if you want DC access without DC prices, that train changes everything. The buyer who 5 years ago was seriously looking at Old Town Alexandria or Annapolis is now looking at downtown Fredericksburg. The prices are better. You can live your daily life here without a car in a way that's nearly impossible anywhere else in this region. And people who just specifically want the downtown life with walkable, culture-rich, historical grounds that's connected to the VRE found their place here. Now for our final community, I'll show you one that's been hiding in plain sight for 30 years. Priced the way it is because most buyers keep driving past it without stopping, and that is Lee's Hill in Spotsylvania County. This is the affordable value pick. Now most buyers see the build era, late 1990s and early 2000s, and they kind of keep scrolling, but then they drive through Lee's Hill. They see the wide streets, full canopy overhead, 3 decades of growth on both sides, and the kind of shade that just newer subdivisions can't offer. This is a neighborhood that has had time to become what it is. So the build era is the whole point. Lee's Hill is the most underestimated neighborhood on the entire list. And the reason it's underestimated is also the reason it belongs here. It doesn't make noise. There are no lakefront views, no brand new commercial wave, no national award in 2026, but what it has is something harder to manufacture. And it's exactly what I look for when I'm thinking about long-term value. Because the homes here, many have been updated along the way. Kitchens, baths, mechanical systems. So you're often finding a house with character and history on the outside of the house and modernized finishes on the inside. And that combination is hard to come by, right? Brand new construction has nothing to it, but older homes that haven't been touched in decades need too much work, right? That's why Lee's Hill tends to hit that middle ground that buyers want. The center of the community is Lee's Hill Golf Club. It's a publicly accessible course with no private membership required, but you also have 2 community pools and tennis, basketball courts, walking trails. Also, Lee's Hill is the closest established neighborhood to the Spotsylvania VRE station, which means if commuting by rail is any part of your plan, this is your neighborhood. Pricing is what pulls this all together, really, because single-family homes run roughly low mid 400s on the lower end to the high upper 700s, because you can find some pretty large houses. And then there's Turnberry East, which is a 55-plus attached section coming in right there mid-high 300s. These are some of the most accessible pricing in the established amenity-rich community anywhere in this region. 2 pools, a golf course, mature trees, a VRE access down the road, and even some homes in the high 300s. This is the value play. Full stop, okay? Now, I would recommend Lee's Hill to basically anyone. Teachers, nurses, mid-career professionals who want the most home and the best location for their dollar. Now, the 55-plus buyer who wants that lifestyle without quite reaching Virginia heritage prices, Turnberry East is right there. The family who wants real neighborhood, close to hospitals and the VRE without paying the premium newer construction prices, this is for you. Now, if I were buying in this market today on a middle-class budget, focused on location and amenities and long-term value, this is where I would look first. And I really do mean that. Well, we saw 5 communities, 5 different stages of the same regional shift, and under all of them is this market moving in one direction. The buyers I've watched get it right in the markets like this rarely waited for more certainty before they made their move. So if any one of these communities is on your radar and you want to know what's available right now before the inventory shifts, email me. Email me at info@shawnderrickrealestate.com. We'll pull together listings and give you the honest breakdown on whichever community you're watching. So if the Fredericksburg region is on your radar, this channel is where we break down the real market data and go deep on the neighborhoods that don't make the national headlines. Hit subscribe and you'll catch every market update and community deep dive. What a joy it is to serve you. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Have a wonderful day. God bless.